Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine an AI that doesn't just, answer your questions or write you an email. Imagine one that actually does the work for you.
Right.
An AI that acts less like a chatbot, generating text, and more like a digital employee.
Huh.
Or maybe an intern who can handle entire projects, start to finish.
Exactly. And that idea, an AI bridging the gap between what a human wants and getting
Hmm.
it done automatically, that's really what's creating so much buzz around this new player, Manus AI.
And you, our listener, shared a fantastic stack of sources, articles, research papers, videos, all about Manus AI. So thank you for that. It's a really interesting
Yeah, it
collection.
really is.
So our mission for this deep dive is basically to go through these sources, figure out what Manus AI actually is, what it promises, how people are using it right now in the real world, and, well, what all the excitement and the challenges are about.
Yeah, it feels like it could be a pretty significant step forward in AI, moving beyond just giving you info to truly autonomous action.
So what is Manus AI? Exactly. The sources call it a general autonomous AI agent. What does autonomous agent even mean here? How is it different from what we're used to?
Well, what's really fascinating here is the basic difference. An autonomous agent, unlike, say, ChatGPT or DeepSeek that you might
Yeah,
use.
the query-based ones.
Exactly. It isn't just sitting there waiting for a prompt to generate a response. It's designed to understand a high-level goal you give it, plan out all the steps needed,
Uh-huh.
and then actually execute that whole workflow on its own. You tell it the what,
Yep.
and it figures out the how and actually, does it.
Ah, okay. So you're not saying write an email about X. You're saying something like handle the follow-up for project Y.
Precisely.
And it figures out, okay, I need to check the client status, write and send emails, maybe schedule meetings. It takes multiple actions.
That's the idea. It's meant to be the hand that turns your thought into a finished task, which actually makes sense of the name Manus is Latin for hand.
Interesting. Where did this come from? Was it one of the big AI labs we usually hear about?
According to the sources, no. It was developed by a startup based in Wuhan, China. They're called Butterfly Effect.
Okay.
And they launched the public beta pretty recently, March 6, 2025.
And the architecture, how is it built? Is it just running on some huge new language model?
That's a really important point about how it's put together. It's explicitly not based on just one single large language model.
Yeah, okay.
Instead, it uses a multi-agent, multi-model approach. It brings together different systems like Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet for some things, Alibaba's Qwen, especially for Chinese text,
Right.
and other specialized AI agents, and it kind of orchestrates them. The sources even mention something called a multi-signature consensus mechanism.
Multi-signature consensus mechanism.
Hmm.
Okay, that sounds technical. What does that actually do? How does it affect how Manus works?
Think of it like an internal system of checks and balances inside the AI. It basically requires multiple AI agents inside to agree or cross-check decisions before the system takes a big step. So this helps make sure the decisions are more reliable, less likely to have errors, compared to just relying on one model's output. It's actually quite a unique approach for this kind of agent.
That makes sense. So if one agent makes a plan, another one checks it before it actually does something.
Hmm.
So the key difference, really, is that Manus is an action taker. It delivers results, not just info or text.
Precisely. Its whole purpose is to go out into the digital world and get tasks done for you. And one feature the sources really highlight, which ties into this action taking, is the Manus's computer interface.
Ah, yes, I saw that mentioned.
Yeah, you get this live side panel, and it shows you the steps it's taking. Like right now, you can even watch its virtual desktop or replay what it did before. It gives you a level of transparency about its process that you just don't normally get with AI tools.
That transparency seems absolutely crucial if an AI is taking actions on its own behind the scenes. Okay, so that's the concept. Let's look at what the sources show it can actually do. What are some capabilities in action that show this autonomy?
Well, the potential seems pretty broad, covering tasks across work and life. The idea is it gets things done while you, rest or focus elsewhere.
Right.
It's claimed it can manage and automate over 50 complex tasks at the same time, things like researching, writing, scheduling, summarizing, and more, all without needing constant human input.
And these aren't just text outputs, are they? The sources mentioned tangible results, like it actually builds things.
Yes, exactly. It can deliver concrete things like finished websites, working apps, detailed reports, structured documents. It's multimodal, so it handles text, images, code, and it integrates with digital tools online.
How does it do that?
It uses things like web browsers with automation tools like Puppeteer code editors, databases. This lets it get real-time information and actually interact with websites and digital environments.
Puppeteer. That sounds quite specific, a technical tool. What does using something like that let Manus do?
Puppeteer is basically, it's a library that lets you control a web browser using code.
Ah, okay.
So when Manus uses a tool like that, it's not just looking at a web page. It can actually interact with it, click buttons, fill out forms, scrape data, log in. That's absolutely key to its ability to take action online, kind of like a person using a computer.
That ability to interact with the web like a human user really underlines the agent part. What were some of the most standout examples from the sources you shared?
Well, one user was just, genuinely blown away. They asked it to make me a website for my YouTube channel.
Just like that.
Pretty much. Manus AI apparently went out, researched the channel, gathered all sorts of info. It figured out the user was in Maui, Hawaii, pulled in profile pictures, video links, channel topics. It even managed to scrape Google reviews from another business linked to the user.
Yeah.
And then it built a fully working website and deployed it on a development domain.
Building and deploying a website from just one high-level instruction. That's a serious project, way beyond just writing some text.
Exactly. And the user pointed out, this kind of work, building custom websites, can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, $500 up to maybe $12,000 for complex ones. So this could massively lower the barrier for people without tech skills who want an online presence.
That's huge for entrepreneurs, small businesses. What about content creation? Planning content. That can also take up so much time.
Yeah, it seems capable of handling complex content tasks that need information integrated. One user asked it to write a 30-day email sequence about Hawaii. They specifically said it needed local nuance, something a standard LLM might miss.
Right, context matters.
And format it for software like Go High Level. Manus apparently did the research, created the content tailored to that request, and put it in a document ready to go.
Yeah.
Saved the user from having to hire someone for that specific job.
Go high level. What's that exactly in this context?
Go High Level is basically a marketing platform. It includes tools like AI, social media planners. So in that example, Manus wasn't just writing the emails. It produced the content in a format ready to be plugged straight into a specific business tool. That shows it can work within these existing digital ecosystems.
That's a real time saver, creating content ready for a specific platform. And what about research and analysis? That often involves lots of steps.
This seems to be an area where that multi-agent approach really shines. It offers insights beyond just pulling data.
Like what?
For example, it can screen resumes, automating a really time-consuming HR task by sifting through criteria. It can do complex research, like filtering real estate properties based on multiple factors. And the sources show it can even write Python code on the fly to calculate things like budgets for these properties.
This is not just giving you the data, but custom analysis on the data.
Right. And it's also shown doing correlation analysis between stocks accessing proper data through APIs, writing code for the analysis and visualization, and even deploying an interactive website based on that analysis. Yeah, analyzing data sets, financial analysis, sourcing suppliers, comparing things like insurance policies, market research. These are all tasks it demonstrated in the sources.
So it's pulling data, analyzing it, maybe writing code to manipulate it, and even presenting it visually or interactively. What about actual software development? Can it build applications?
Well, beyond simple sites, it's been used for tasks within software development. Things like static analysis and generating test cases for old Java code. Some users reported fewer runtime errors after using it.
Okay, that's useful.
One demo tried something really ambitious, building a DocuSign clone from just a simple prompt, aiming for, a multi-billion-dollar business idea, though the source does note that that specific task ran into problems later on.
Right. Ambition doesn't always mean success, especially in beta.
True. But it also successfully created and deployed a basic, playable airplane game from a simple request.
A playable game. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a step up from a static website. And what about business strategy? Can it help plan out a business?
Yes, it seems it can even devise strategies. One of the sources specifically asked Manus AI for a detailed, step-by-step plan for making money online. It was a really complex request.
How so?
They asked for finding clients, identifying problems, providing solutions, tactics for getting contact info, getting attention, defining the service, how to deliver it, and including all the needed assets, scripts, templates, everything.
Okay, this make money example sounds particularly detailed and practical in one of the sources. Let's maybe dive deeper into that specific use case. What was was the exact request the user gave Manus?
Yeah, so the user asked Manus AI for a really detailed step-by-step plan to make $1,000 online fast. They didn't just want a vague idea. They specified needing actionable steps for finding a client, identifying a specific problem to solve,
Right.
providing a tangible solution, tactics for prospecting and actually getting clients, defining the service very clearly, how to deliver it, and including all the necessary assets, scripts, templates, you name it. And they wanted it designed for someone with basically no technical skills.
And what did Manus AI come back with? What was the plan?
Manus AI suggested starting a complete social media management business.
Social media manager. Okay, that's a pretty common online business model.
Yeah.
How did Manus approach it? What was the angle in this plan?
Well, Manus started by identifying the key challenges small businesses face with digital marketing right now in 2025. Things like, well, lack of time, keeping up with algorithm changes, creating content consistently, measuring ROI, and maybe limited tech experience.
Makes sense. Those are common pain points.
Exactly. So the solution it proposed focused specifically on tackling the biggest one for many small businesses.
Like
And it does this by offering social media posting as a service.
posting. So it's not necessarily about deep marketing strategy or guaranteeing leads. It's more about the activity of posting regularly to keep an online presence active.
That's precisely it. Manus highlighted social media management as, well, potentially highly profitable. There's a pretty clear industry benchmark around $1,000 a month per client. It offers recurring revenue, it's scalable, there's high demand from small businesses, you can leverage AI tools to do it efficiently, the results are measurable, at least in terms of activity, and the barrier to entry for the person offering the service is relatively low.
And that distinction you made between just social media posting and social media marketing, that's pretty key to understand this specific service Manus outlined, right?
It really is. The plan Manus laid out focuses on getting paid for the activity of posting regularly, maybe 5 times a week, just to make a business look active, current, and healthy online.
Right.
This is different from social media marketing, where you're often paid for results that are harder to guarantee, like bringing in X number of customers or driving specific sales. This service is activity-based.
Yeah, I get it. Like, if you look up a local restaurant online and their last post was 6 months ago, you might wonder if they're even still open.
Exactly, or if they just don't care about their online image. Regular posting signals that they're a vibrant, current business. It solves that perception problem.
That makes a lot of sense, solving the time problem for the owner by handling that consistent posting activity. So who's the ideal client for this, according to the plan Manus generated?
Small businesses, probably 5 to 50 employees, annual revenue somewhere between, say, $250,000 and $5 million.
Okay, specific.
And specifically, businesses that already have social media accounts but aren't posting much or are really ineffective at it simply because the owner or maybe a marketing manager is just too swamped to do it consistently.
Okay, that clearly defines the target. How does Manus suggest finding these businesses? What was the prospecting tactic it recommended?
The plan suggests using Google Maps, actually, as a primary tool for finding local businesses.
Simple enough.
You identify businesses and industries or areas you want to target the source. Even recommends maybe focusing on suburbs or smaller areas where there might be less competition than in big city centers.
Right.
Then, the crucial step. Visit their websites, check their social media profiles, look for those obvious signs of infrequent posting like nothing for months or years, or just really inconsistent posting even if they seem to know it's valuable. Then you'd kind of score them based on how much they seem to need help and whether they look like they could afford the service.
Okay, simple, practical steps to find businesses with that specific problem and that acquisition tactic. How do you get their attention and turn them into a paying client?
This is where the source highlights the irresistible offer concept from the plan. Instead of just cold emailing with an audit or a sales pitch.
Which often gets ignored.
Right. Manus's plan suggests creating and offering the business owner 30 days of social media content completely free.
30 days, free?
Yeah. And the source demonstrates how this content can be made really quickly using AI social planners like the one in Go High Level. You deliver this genuinely valuable content, maybe just in a spreadsheet or a document, and then you offer to post it for them using your software.
So they don't need to give you passwords.
Exactly. No passwords needed. They'd connect their accounts securely through the software. This shows massive value up front, with zero pressure for them to buy anything right away.
30 days of free custom content.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty strong hook. How quickly could you actually create that content with AI based on the source demo.
The user demoed it using an AI social planner tool, specifically the one in Go High Level. You give it prompts like, say, I need customers for a roofer. It generates multiple post ideas, text variations, even relevant images.
Wow.
You can then schedule the posts and even set it up to send them to the client for approval before anything goes live. The source suggested that creating 30 days of good, tailored content for a business could take as little as maybe 30 minutes using these AI tools.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Using AI, you quickly generate a month's worth of custom content for a potential client. You offer it free. You offer to post it for them using your own tools. If they like it and see how much time it saves them, then you talk about paying for a month, 2, and beyond.
Yeah.
That's a very clear, actionable path that came from Manus AI.
It really is. It delivered a plan that didn't just answer the user's question, but gave a specific vetted method that's known to work, outlining the tactics, even suggesting the tools to use.
And what kind of scaling potential did the plan, combined with the user's insights in the source, suggest was possible here?
Well, by consistently reaching out to businesses using that Google Maps method, the source suggests aiming for maybe 20 to 50 contacts a day and following up properly.
Right, consistency is key.
The source suggests a potential closing rate that could realistically lead to maybe $4,000 to $8,000 a month in recurring revenue within about 4 weeks. It's highlighted as a genuine path to significant income, or maybe even retiring early if you stick with it.
That's a very concrete step-by-step example of Manus AI providing not just theory, but an executable business plan with detailed tactics and even revenue estimates. It really shows off that action-oriented approach.
Yeah, what's really striking is that it didn't just give a generic idea. It provided a specific, usable strategy that leverages current tools and tackles a real business problem.
Okay, so that's the impressive upside, the ability to deliver complex results, even whole business plans. But, no new tech is perfect, especially when it's still in beta. What are the challenges, the limitations people reported in the sources?
Oh yeah, it's definitely not perfect yet, and the sources are pretty upfront about that. First off, Manus is still in limited beta. It's invite only. And apparently invitation codes have been trading for pretty high prices online, which shows high demand but also means access is really restricted right now.
So you can't just sign up and try it easily.
Yeah.
What about performance once you do get in? Is it stable?
That seems to be a major issue. Users have reported frequent system crashes, instability, especially when they try more complex or longer tasks. Server overload seems to happen sometimes because of the demand, and tasks can apparently just hit a wall or some critical problem that forces you to reset the virtual computer or just start a whole new session.
That sounds like it could really break that autonomous workflow it promises. Are there specific things it struggles with, like navigating websites?
Yes, even though it can interact with the web, it apparently struggles with things like website paywalls or those CAPI-TCHA tests,
The prove you're human things.
Yeah, right. So sometimes it needs a human to manually intervene, even with that transparent Manus's computer view. Some source demos actually showed errors happening live, like deployment attempts failing or hitting usage limits. 10 sessions per day was mentioned as a beta limit.
Wow, only 10 sessions a day would definitely limit how much you could get done, especially if tasks fail and you need to restart. What about handling lots of information at once or really complex goals?
The sources do mention that its performance can drop off if you give it extremely long instructions or a very complex multi-part goal. For really big projects, you might have to break the tasks down into smaller pieces or start fresh sessions now and then, which again kind of interrupts that fully autonomous idea.
And the quality of what it actually produces beyond just finishing the task.
Well, while it's apparently great at research and analysis, it can sometimes misunderstand vague instructions. It might take shortcuts or need clarification and back and forth with the user, kind of like training a human assistant, really.
Okay.
Creative outputs like generated content might still have a bit of that AI smell, And accuracy in data analysis definitely needs a human to double check it. One source mentioned an example where some initial time-based analysis it did had flaws that needed fixing.
Verification is always critical with AI outputs, especially for important stuff. What about the cost? How does that work?
It uses a credit-based subscription. The reports say it's more expensive than your typical chatbot subscription.
Okay.
The cost depends on how complex the task is and how much processing power those autonomous actions use up. So you'd need to really weigh the value you're getting against the expense.
And the big question that always comes up, especially with tech from certain regions, privacy.
Yes, absolutely. As a company based in China, the sources raise valid concerns about data privacy. There's the potential obligation under Chinese law for companies to provide access to data if the government requests it.
Right.
So, users are strongly advised to be cautious, don't share sensitive personal or business information within the platform, and definitely scan any code Manus generates before you run it locally on your own machine, just basic security hygiene.
Those are really important points for anyone considering using a tool like this, especially if sensitive data is involved. Okay, so despite the current limitations, the beta issues, the core concept still feels incredibly powerful. What's the bigger picture here? Are we seeing maybe a glimpse of something fundamentally new, closer to AGI?
Some sources do frame it that way. They describe Manus as possibly the next evolution of AI, getting closer to what people imagine as artificial general intelligence or AGI.
You mean an AI that can reason, plan, and act across different areas on its own, more like a human?
Yeah, that's the idea. Moving beyond just being a tool for crunching numbers or writing text to actually understanding and carrying out complex goals in the real, well, the digital world. Bridging that gap between thought and action we talked about earlier.
That sounds incredibly efficient, potentially transformative for many tasks.
It really does. The vision feels like having an intelligent intern, maybe even several digital employees working on different things at the same time. Research, design, coding, data analysis. It could be a massive productivity boost.
And by handling technical stuff like building websites or analyzing code automatically, it could really lower the barrier for non-technical people to launch their ideas or businesses.
Absolutely. Tasks that used to need specialized skills or hiring experts might become accessible to a much broader audience. And you can see the excitement in the community response, too.
How so?
The way open source clones and similar projects, like OpenManus, popped up so quickly after its launch, it shows there's huge interest in this whole agentic approach. And the developers themselves have apparently said they plan to open source some core models later in 2025.
So the concept itself is already sparking more innovation, even outside the original company.
Yeah.
Where else might this type of autonomous agent make a big difference soon?
Well, the potential impact could be really wide-ranging. Anywhere workflows involve multiple digital steps, you could see it used in complex research, academic, or market research.
Okay.
Streamlining business operations, automating things like HR screening, generating financial reports, boosting personal productivity, maybe planning detailed trips or doing really deep product comparisons, assisting in education, creating tailored lesson plans, helping in software development, analyzing code bases, making prototypes faster, and potentially even automating parts of workflows in areas like healthcare administration or customer service. Basically, automating those end-to-end digital processes across many sectors.
It definitely seems like this move towards truly autonomous agents, even with all the current limitations and being in beta, is a significant development. It could fundamentally change how we interact with AI and just how we get things done online.
Yeah, what's really fascinating is just how fast this whole area is moving and how the power of this autonomy is already being shown through concrete examples like building websites or outlining entire business plans, even while the tech itself is still being polished and, facing growing pains.
So to recap, we've taken a pretty deep dive into Manus AI. We've explored its core concept as a general autonomous agent, seen some really impressive examples of what it can do, including that detailed look at how it could map out a real-world business idea, and also looked hard at the challenges and limitations it's facing right now, from tech glitches and access hurdles to cost and privacy worries.
Yeah, the core idea, an AI that acts less like a tool you direct step by step and more like a digital partner you give a high-level goal to that feels genuinely exciting. It feels like a real step change in how AI can be practically used.
Okay, so considering this mix of, amazing potential and current, real limitations, plus the incredibly fast pace of development here, here's something to think about, a provocative thought for you, our listener. What kinds of tasks or projects in your own life, or work the ones that maybe need multiple steps, or coordinated different online tools could you imagine handing off to an AI agent like Manus in the future? And what is that potential future where AI shifts from just answering questions to autonomously executing complex workflows? What does that mean for the skills we value and the way we approach work, maybe even creativity?